Welcome to part 7 of our class, Multiplying Effectiveness. Bill Gates is a good example of someone who has been successful at multiplying the effectiveness of his talents. According to him, smart managers like to see their employees increase their responsibilities because it frees the managers to tackle new or undone tasks. And he's been very good at this. He created a giant organization, Microsoft. And the idea here is that employees take on as much as they can in order to increase the overall productivity of the organization and allow managers to engage in a different type of work. Delegation is one way to do that. And if you're going to delegate, it's helpful to know what's effective. The first and the basis of delegation, the first principle is to share power with employees. Allow employees to control resources. The second is don't delegate the bad jobs and save the good ones for yourself. Delegate everything, and especially what you would consider to be the good jobs, so that people can gain a sense of pride. The third is that you need to know your employees. We're going to talk about personality here in a bit, and personality can affect how delegation is done. It can affect to whom you delegate different tasks, and it can affect the overall productivity of people in an organization. One of the keys is to use delegation as a development tool. Help people to develop their skills through delegating different tasks, providing them with resources and training, and expanding their capabilities. This can also increase motivation. But if you are going to delegate work that's not within a person's normal job, explain why and give them the resources that they need to be successful. And again, you want to be perceived as fair in terms of the amount of work and the type of work that you're delegating among all employees. And one of the important aspects is a follow-up, making sure that the task was done as needed. The primary rule is about when to delegate is that if you have confidence in the employee that they can handle it or they can gain the skills necessary, then go ahead and delegate. If not, then don't do it. You need to define responsibilities for each employee and make the information known to others. This affects fairness. This affects how the perceptions of work distribution are throughout the organization. And it's important when delegating to keep the unitary principle in mind, which is that the individual is accountable only to one source. So there's a single leader-follower relationship here. And make sure that if an employee does their best and they get to a conclusion or make a decision that's not acceptable or they cause waves, make sure that you back them and make sure that the decisions that were made are fully supported by you. The key to making decisions is to balance both authority and responsibility, and this is the job of the leader to let employees know exactly what decisions they have authority to make. How much authority do they have? What is the level of resources that they can access? The goal is to delegate decision making to the lowest possible level so that resources and all the related items, structures, access, and knowledge capabilities are all distributed throughout the organization as much as possible. And this is important because it's part of fairness. It's also important because it's consistent with a participative workplace, consistent with organizational democracy. And the idea behind delegation in terms of motivating people is to delegate whole tasks so that employees can see the projects through to completion and they can get a sense of meaningfulness from completion of what you've asked them to do. It's also important to allow sufficient time and then reinforce good performance with some form of quantitative or qualitative reward. When delegating, it's important to clearly communicate and also make good use of questions. Have questions go both ways. And as we said before, make sure that the person to whom you're delegating can accomplish what you're asking them to do. If they don't have the skills necessary immediately, then include the development of those skills as part of the delegation effort, and make sure that they can gain them and then apply them in the time that's needed. One of the aspects of meaningfulness is importance, and that's why leaders need to explain the importance of assignments, explain why something is very important, as well as give people a chance to see the entire task through, and so they can realize themselves. One of the toughest aspects is learning to live with work styles that are not like your own, letting go, and allowing people to do what they do best in their own way. This can be very difficult sometimes. And what we want to do is avoid delegating small tasks. We want to make sure that delegation is meaningful for the people who are doing it. And this is kind of a nice rule of thumb for all things that need to be accomplished. Do it, delegate it, or ditch it. So these are the 3 Ds. Either do it yourself, delegate it for someone else, or ditch it, forget it, and don't bother with it. In any organization, any professional organization, the nature of work and the focus of work changes during an individual's career stages. During their early career, the people are generally focused on doing and with things. As they advance, they move into management, where their supervision, where their focus is coordinating people. Later in their career, as people move into more executive positions, or they become entrepreneurs, a lot of what they do is thinking and focusing on new ideas. And so there's different skills and different personalities, and different people are adapted to these different levels and different. There are 3 types of skills that are needed in management: conceptual, or relational, and technical. And all individuals possess these to some degree. All of these can be learned. They are based on both nature and nurture. It's people's gifts or their abilities, their innate abilities, as well as what the skills are that they have learned during their time. And so there's different amounts of skills varying in each person based on their personality makeup, as well as their education. And different types of personalities take to different skills. One of the sort of core aspects of human relations is stated here by Abraham Lincoln. A drop of honey catches more flies than a gallon of gall. So it is with men as well. If you would win a man to your cause, first convince him that you are his friend. It is a drop of honey that catches his heart, which, say what he will, is the high road to his reason. So emotional reality first, then cognitive reality is the approach that Abraham Lincoln is recommending. However, there are 3 different types of personalities, and these personalities tend to have different approaches. They like different situations. They have differing levels of the 3 types of skills we just talked about. These 3 personality types are the traditionals, the participatives, and the individualistics. And we can see the slogans here. Sort of the traditional Uncle Sam, I want you; participative, united we stand, divided we fall; and the individualistic, live free or die, the state of New Hampshire. The traditionals are a unique breed. They provide clarity of direction because they hew to the traditional or the core values of the organization. They know about the organization's history, its credo. They like to organize efforts around a purpose, and they give attention to detail. They also like to adhere to standards which derive from the values and culture of the organization. They really appreciate traditions and history, the way things have always been done. And they like to remember facts and figures because these provide the basis for how the organization has been functioning. So they also give structure and order. They like to provide structure and order so that things are predictable and that the continuity of the organization over time is maintained. They provide a consistent performance level, and that's what they like, is consistency and stability. Individualists, on the other hand, are a different breed of cat. They tend to challenge the system. They're kind of out there by themselves. They like to find flaws in procedures. They like to think of themselves as pioneers or perhaps warriors. They like to tackle problems with zest. They do provide reform where it's needed, and they like to generate new ideas and new ways of doing things. They tend to focus on the present. They're not really around the past or the future so much. But they do like to look at what's possible based on what is present now. And they also like to celebrate the individual and individual achievements over team and organizational achievements. Finally, the third type, participatives, really care about people. And these are the folks that want to bring harmony and peace to an organization. And they like to teach, they like to give counsel, they like to give encouragement to others. They like to instill a team spirit, have everyone feel motivated about working together. They like to persuade and motivate others to come together in a unification effort that brings everyone working for the goals of the team or the group or the organization. They tend to be sensitive to others and of their needs. They tend to be emotionally aware. They like to provide warmth and support to others in their pursuit of objectives in the day-to-day activity. The participative personality, the way that they work is that they draw a circle to draw people in. Instead of people who feel kind of on the outside, the participatives just create a space for them to exist within the organization. So they're very important. And these are some skills that we can learn as leaders. We can learn how to do this. Even though we may not be comfortable with it, it's something that can help us be more successful. In personality differences, they're always going to arise. The idea, though, is to figure out a way that we can solve them. And the first way is to just talk it out, understand where the other person's coming from, be understanding, listen, give a little bit, that things don't have to be exactly the way you think that they are. Allow things to flex a little bit in terms of different approaches to achieving the overall objectives, and be tolerant. Allow for the differences. Know that they arise, know that there's different types, and just allow people to be who they are and allow them to contribute in their own unique way. One of the most commonly used personality schemas is the Big Five personality traits. And this is actually the basis of the E-test that you took. And the Big Five personality traits are openness to experience, conscientiousness, extroversion, agreeableness, and neuroticism, or emotional stability. And the E-test is structured around your scores in each one of these areas, and these have been highly correlated with both leadership and management. There are certain personality patterns that also track to the personality types we just discussed, and there are certain traits and personality aspects that help people in different aspects of organizational life and to help them to be successful as leaders. If we have an individual with high conscientiousness, high agreeableness, and low neuroticism, very stable emotionally, these folks are good at getting along. If we have folks with high extroversion and high openness to new experience, these folks are really about getting ahead, moving ahead. So what you really want is you want both. So you want both types in an organization. You want people who are able to get along with others, but then you also want to have a sprinkling of individuals who are focused on getting ahead, or else the organization just stagnates. Henry David Thoreau says, if a man does not keep pace with his friends, perhaps it is because he hears a different drummer. Let him step to the music he hears, however measured or far away. This was the first recognition of personality differences. Patrick Henry kind of laid it down, give me liberty or give me death. This is the ultimate individualistic statement. And Robert Frost really makes a nice statement here in his The Road Less Traveled. And I shall be telling this with a sigh, somewhere ages and ages hence. Two roads diverged in a wood, and I took the one less traveled by, and that has made all the difference. And so this is an important piece, because really it's about making choices that reflect who you are. So if you want to be successful professionally, be who you are. Honor your personality traits. Do what you love. Do what brings you energy and passion and satisfaction. And stay young and stay foolish. Be open to new experiences, and don't get set in your ways. Allow yourself to be flexible. So that's it for our presentation. If you have questions, please ask them in the Q&A thread. Otherwise, we'll see you in the class shell.